everyone, and welcome to Co-Creation Station, the podcast where we talk about the law of attraction, the art of allowing, spiritual magic, the mind-body-spirit connection, and how to best enjoy this mystical, miraculous, mysterious, crazy, sometimes confounding, but always incredible journey we call life. My name is Collin. I am a teacher, tarot oracle card reader, and I'm also a singer and guitarist in the band Red Treasure, and I'm located in beautiful, sunny North Hollywood, California.
My name is Stephanie Orlina, and I am a transformational life coach, and I help people shift away from negative thinking, and I'm in San Diego, California.
You know what? Thank you so much for listening and watching. At this time, we are posting a brand new episode every Monday morning. I'm trying to make it seem like I don't have a script, but it's not working. I obviously have a script.
No, that was great.
Just for this part.
Loved it.
We really appreciate you doing whatever your platform allows you to do to support the podcast here. Like us, follow us, subscribe to us, leave us a comment, writing us a review. All of that helps other people find us. Each week we start our discussion here on Co-Creation Station from a different jumping off point. And this week we are going to start, if I can bring it back up, with Josh Johnson. I'm going to tell you the story of Josh Johnson.
Okay.
This comes from being a fan of football and watching the NFL preseason is going on here in the United States this week. And I had never heard, as far as I know of, I had never heard of Josh Johnson. I certainly didn't remember him. But here's a brief description of him. So he's an American football quarterback. He's currently with the Denver Broncos. During his 13 years in the National Football League, Johnson has been a member of 15 different teams. This is the most number of teams any NFL player has ever been on in league history. He's also played in 3 other professional American football leagues that all went bankrupt at some other time, not while he was playing, but he also played in the United Football League, the Alliance of American Football, and the XFL. He actually played his college football at the University of San Diego, the city where you're located. And what struck me about Josh Johnson is that I watch a lot of football, and you'll hear statements. And if you are listening to this and you hate football, it's not about football.
Sorry to confuse you.
But when you listen to football a lot, they make the sports announcers will make a lot of statements about how hard it is to be in the NFL and how difficult it is. And even if you're a really good college player, it's really hard and difficult to make it into the NFL. They only take a small percentage of the good college players to be in the NFL. And I've heard time and time again, and it's really hard to stay in the NFL. Every year you have to try out for your team, and they have new players coming out of college. So in training camp, you can lose your job, all this sort of stuff. I've heard many times people say the average stay in the National Football League is 4 years, I think. And it was just interesting that because when I was reading about him, the fact that he'd been in the NFL for 13 years, but he's been playing for longer than that because he also even went to other leagues, other sort of very small time leagues that happened to be going at the time that he was playing. I just feel like this is an example. I would love to talk. I had this fantasy of bringing him on the podcast because I want to talk to him about. I was have you ever heard of the law of attraction? Because I think one thing that is fair to say is that so far he hasn't demonstrated enough skill and talent to be a starting Tom Brady, Peyton Manning type quarterback. And most people would have said, well, if you're not like that, then you're only going to play for 4 or 5 years, and you should just give up your dream and go do something else, be it sell cars, whatever. And he has somehow managed, I'm sure he's very talented. He's got to be very talented to keep playing. But he's managed to continue to play football every year, even if he has on his Wikipedia page, they have a readout of his career, and you'll go through and it'll be I forget. Oh yeah, and he played when. He also played for the San Diego Fleet in the AAF, which I didn't even know existed. But he played for the San Francisco 49ers in 3 separate times. He played for the New York Jets 2 separate times. They let him go, and then he played for some other teams, and then they signed him again 3 years later.
What did you say his position is? Did you say
he's quarterback? He's quarterback.
Okay.
So, I mean, I just feel like Josh Johnson knows how to attract quarterback jobs. Like, he knows how to attract opportunities to make money playing football. He has been making his
And
living.
longevity, right?
Yeah.
Longevity
And
in
health.
there.
Yeah, health. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he really has, whether he knows it or not, I mean, he's really attracted. I mean, I'm guessing that he just loves football
You
and he
think?
loves the quarterback
Yeah,
position.
right? Yeah.
And he just, for whatever reason, doesn't have those kind of voices of those sports announcers in his head. Because if he did,
It
my
wouldn't be
guess is he
happening.
would have left.
He would have just had 4 years and that was
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I was thinking as you were telling his story, my first thought was intention. Like he
Mm,
had an intention and desire, or I wrote down desire, so an intention and a desire to to play football
yeah,
professionally. And he had, what's the biggest thing is alignment.
yeah.
He was aligned with his desire.
Well, the one thing too, like, and I don't mean to make it complicated for people who don't follow football, but the National Football League, or what we call the NFL, is the largest and most consistent, football league that we've ever had in the United States. But over the many decades of the past, we've had other business people have tried to start like another league, like either at the same that plays at the same time in the NFL, or sometimes they try to it plays at a different time of the year, and none of them have succeeded. They've all gone bankrupt at some point. But also, anytime one of those other leagues started, there was always this kind of buzz about like, oh well, if you're going to one of these like sort of substandard leagues that somebody's starting up, then like basically that you shouldn't. That like if you can't be in the NFL, what's the point, And what I like about him being not just in one of those leagues, but 3, which is really remarkable to me, is that he is just willing to show up and play football as a quarterback wherever there's an opportunity. And I feel
he
like
just really wants to play, doesn't he?
yeah.
That's
And
his
I feel
greatest
like
intention, it sounds like.
yeah,
He really loves the sport.
yeah.
He wants to play. Yeah.
And I feel like if he, if he literally couldn't find a team, he would be like coaching kids and playing in like an amateur adult, you know what I mean? Like he would just there just isn't a question in his mind of whether he's going to be playing quarterback somewhere.
Yeah.
It's he is leaving it up to the universe to determine where and how and all these things. And I think we talked last week a little bit about the hows, of leaving the hows to the universe. And I remember Tim Tebow, who was a really famous college quarterback, got into the NFL, and the consensus was he wasn't very good. But everybody was saying there's a Canadian Football League, which is professional. You don't make as much money as you do in the United States, but it's professional. You can make a living at it. And I remember one day listening to an announcer and going, Tim Tebow could go to the Canadian Football League and he could play and be a star for 5 years. And Tim Tebow is perfectly allowed to make his own decisions in life, but I saw him interviewed one time. He's like, I have no interest in playing in a substandard league. And so he didn't play. Like he played a few seasons and then didn't play. And now he's a sports announcer or whatever. But I just, like comparing Tim Tebow to Josh Johnson, I just sort of feel like Josh Johnson was willing to go wherever the universe said, here's an opportunity to play quarterback. And the other thing that's amazing is, and I think this is really key, is that Josh Johnson, I hope he writes a book. I hope somebody makes a documentary about him, because he now has a story about playing American football professionally that no other human being alive or dead has. He's played in more leagues and more teams than anyone in history, and that is a unique journey. And it's not maybe. I bet
that's already in the works somewhere.
I hope so.
What I mean, I really feel that I have this intuitive hit that it is.
Yeah.
Because there's some great stories out there, and I see them coming out more and more, and I just love them.
Yeah.
And this kind of wraps into what we were speaking about in the last episode about not really caring about or not giving a lot of power to what other people think and believe and are doing.
Yeah.
Because like when you were saying the sportscaster, most people say, oh, well, it's never been done, or you can't, or, whatever. And it's like, if it goes in opposition of what you think and believe and want, then just let it go. It's not,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what other people think. It's a matter of what you want and what you choose to focus on and what you have intention of allowing in, and knowing that it doesn't matter. I like this thing I wrote down the other day. I don't know where I put it. If I still have it, is like, um, law of attraction will make it so.
Yeah.
So anything we focus on, law of attraction is responding, and therefore it is. So whether it's good, bad, right or wrong, true or false, it's just a matter of somebody focused on it and believed it enough that the law of attraction responded to it, and therefore it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And that's the cool. That's why they say we can be, do, or have anything.
Yeah.
Because if we focus, and you know, you were talking about last episode about, well, I didn't visualize this, and I'm thinking in my head, but we don't have to. It's more of a vibration as well.
Yeah.
Even as soon as we ask it, it's already energetically exists. And then if we just don't ever even thinking about it again, like I tell my story of the iHome and the sun umbrella, I never thought about them again. I had this in desire. One of them I said out loud I wanted, the other one I just thought in my head. And within a week, I didn't do anything except, well, I shouldn't say that again. We need to rephrase that. And then I went and did my part, not thinking, oh, this is how I'm going to attract it. But I went and I had a good time all week. And then they came about, and I didn't know how that was going to happen. I didn't even know how, when I was asking, how that would, I just wanted them. I never gave thought to it again. And then the universe was like, here you go, babe. Got you
Yeah.
covered.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, there's a lot in what you said that I really agree with. But one of the many things I'm fascinated by that story is, again, like, I just think of, like, if we said what you just said, you can be, do, or have anything you want, and let's say somebody is 50 years old, and they wanted their lifelong dream supposedly was to play outfield for the Chicago Cubs, right? And there's nobody over 33, 34 playing for the Chicago Cubs, so it's like they can prove that that statement is wrong, right? Like, well, obviously I can't be or do or have anything I want. But what I think that evokes for me is that we're limited by how we think about things and our individual power, which is very low. If we're just going to try to make something happen with our little terrestrial lives and our logical mind, we really don't have a lot of power. If we leave things to the universe, then a whole bunch of things we can't even imagine can happen. And so in that example, if it were
has
really,
all the players to bring them together to,
yes, all the timing, the forces,
yeah,
resources, all that.
yeah.
So I mean, if someone were really 50 years old and they really wanted to play for the Chicago Cubs, and they really were allowing it in, the universe would figure out some way. It wouldn't probably be starting, as a first baseman.
You don't know that, right? Like,
Well, that we kind of know.
But no, think about it. No, there are a lot of things that have never happened before,
Well,
and things
this is
people
what I'm going to
thought
try to say.
that
Yeah.
were never thought were possible, and then they happened, and we
Yeah.
didn't believe them until they happened.
Yes.
So anything can shift at any given moment, and it be the first time ever. Just like you were saying, the gentleman, no one had ever played for 13 teams before, and blah,
well,
blah,
that's
blah.
my thing with Josh Johnson is if I was him and I came out of college and I said, I'm only going to keep playing football if I can play, start as a quarterback for an NFL team in America at the highest level, and if I go 2 years and I can't do that, I'm quitting forever. Well, the weird thing about that is somebody who says that would believe that the universe was the one deciding, whether or not they get to be the quarterback or not. But it's like, but you decided. Like, you set all these conditions, plus you put a whole bunch of energy into negative thoughts and statements and beliefs. Like, well, if it doesn't.
Oh, so that's almost saying, like, God, higher power, universe, I want this, but it has to happen.
It has to happen
this
my way.
And in this amount of time.
And I'm not
Otherwise,
going to let you
forget about it.
Yeah. I will never forget. I did forget her name, which is good because I wouldn't want to out her publicly here, but I was teaching acting in Cincinnati, Ohio many, many years ago to adults. It was like class, so people just register. People are just interested in acting. And this one young woman said that she actually wanted to take my class and then move to Los Angeles and try to be a professional actor in film. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's great, good for you. And she said, yes, and if I'm not successful in 6 months, I'm going to move back home and try something else.
Oh, wow.
And in my head, in my mind, I was like, you need to save yourself that 6 months. You're already headed, you know what I mean? Like her whole statement, I could tell, it was like she's headed towards not being successful. Like she's already got a much more attractive plan for her not to be successful and she doesn't really have any kind of energy or allowing or flow behind actually being successful. Like the whole way she talked about it was as if the 6 months was going to happen, she wasn't going to be successful, and then she was going to move back to Cincinnati and do something else. And so part of me was like, I just wanted to save her the trip. It's like, if you've already told the universe what's going to happen, like, why go through that experience, But again, people make statements like that, and I've done this too, and then we assume the universe is the one that, like, oh, I wasn't successful, so I had to leave after 6 months.
Or it wasn't meant to be.
That was you. Like, that was you. You did that.
Yeah. Our limited thinking, our limited beliefs, and putting the timeline on the universe.
Yeah.
Because it took me a really long time to become a coach and to start practicing it and then to be really good at it. But it was because of all these old stories I had about, oh, I didn't have a certification, or, oh, I haven't gone to school for it. And where I had been going to school for a decade before I even discovered the actual title of what it was that I loved to do. And so,
well, the thing is, we had an episode, I think in season 1 or 2, where we talked about time and the law of attraction. I think, it is tricky because it's not that you can't influence the timing at all. I think the higher your vibration is, the better you're feeling, the more you're allowing, the faster things do tend to come. Yeah. But what I just feel like my personal opinion is, or I should say the way I live is, like, I try to avoid dictating specifics to the universe. Now, there are law of attraction folks who teach it, who say, oh, you should give the universe a deadline. I think the problem with deadlines, the problem with deadlines for most people is, if you could give the universe a deadline and really believe that... And
then allow. Let go and allow and believe. Let go, allow, and believe.
Then I think it could work. The problem most people, at least in our culture today, are going to have is, like, once they give the universe a deadline, they start to believe that they are controlling the hows somewhat or completely. And that's where you get off.
Because they don't know the hows, then it's not, how could it happen in this amount of time?
Well, and they're also like, this the whole Amazon thing that we've talked about before. Like, they're like, well, I command the universe to give me $1,000 by, we're recording this on Sunday, August 14th, so by August 31st. And then they, like, go to their mailbox with a negative vibration every day, going, well, there better be a check in here for $1,000. The universe only has 13 days left. No,
or my thought is, oh, I bet it's not in there. I bet it's not in there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's definitely an allowing thought. Not.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in order to set the deadline, I think you've got to have faith that you're working with the universe in flow enough that it's a part of that process and not a part of you trying to take over the universe's job of, like, arranging things.
Yeah. Well, and having faith that the one who's going to deliver it is going to deliver it, kind of like you said with the whole Amazon. Like, we don't doubt that they're not going to deliver it. Yeah. Because they've done it so many times before. And if we look at the universe that way, the universe is like, there's a long list, and I can never even complete the list because I don't even remember all the things that I've asked for that I've received. But I've created lists of things, and there's like 30 and 50 just of the ones that come to mind. And that's just a small fraction of the things that I once wanted that eventually came about.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day when I was in the car, too. It was like, I had a thought about something I wanted to have happen for a while, and it hasn't happened yet. And I started down that old thinking path of like, it's never going to happen. And I was like, wait. And partly
I
because
like that voice.
yeah, partly because of the conversations you and I have so regularly about it. It's like, whoa, wait. There are so many things I am living right this second that A, I visualized a long time ago. B, some of those I actually did believe that I could not have, and I flipped that belief.
Most of them on my list, I didn't believe
Yeah.
that I'd have them.
Yeah, there's some point in
There's
the
like
past
a doubt, yeah. And they
I mean,
still
I
came about
clearly-
anyways.
I mean, there's you probably have hundreds of examples too, but I clearly remember one, the 8 years that I lived in New York City, I remember multiple times like stopping on the sidewalk in New York and going, man, I guess I'm just never going to be able to move to Los Angeles. Like, I'm in my 30s.
Oh my God.
My life is set up here. I'm in a band. I guess I don't think there's any possible way I could ever really move to Los Angeles and have a life there at this point. Again, that and thinking that was the universe had arranged it that way. Like, that's me. Like, that's me creating that. I probably stayed in New York longer because of that thought.
Well, and that's too, like, I think about how long it took me to actually start coaching clients, and it only took as long as it did because of my resistant thoughts.
Yeah.
Because of my doubt, my disbelief, my not valuing, blah, all of these criteria that I thought I had to have in order to actually be a coach. And I was the only one slowing it down. If I had believed it and was like, yes, I would, way before. Well, and it goes back to what we were talking about, last episode about I'm the only one, it doesn't matter whether people are thinking or doing. It matters what I'm thinking and doing. Yeah. And that is the only thing that has the biggest impact on me, unless I allow other people's thoughts or beliefs. But then again, it's a choice, whether I'm doing it consciously or not. But it's like, let's take our power back.
Yeah. Good talk.
Yeah.
We hope you got something out of that conversation. And thank you so much. We're so happy that you joined us for our little chat here today on the podcast. Remember, we are posting a brand new episode every Monday morning at this point for you. So if you subscribe, you'll get the alert. We truly appreciate you doing whatever your platform allows you to do to support us, liking us, following us, leaving a comment, writing us a review. All our social media links for the podcast and individually are down in the YouTube description on the YouTube video below. Also, our email address for the podcast is there. We wish you a happy, abundant, resistant, free, flowing week. And we look forward to you joining us again on the next episode of Co-Creation Station. Bye, everybody.
Bye.